Welcome to the Spotswood Borough Council regular meeting. The notice requirements provided in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given. In the new schedule of meetings of the Spotswood Borough Council on December 27th, 2017, the new schedule was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel. It was filed with the clerk of the Borough of Spotswood and posted in the municipal building located at 77 Summerhill Road, Spotswood, New Jersey. I'd like to rise for a salute to the flag, and let's have a moment of silence and keep in your prayers and your thoughts Annette David, who was a former CFO for the borough. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Councilman Stolen?
Here.
Councilman Ritchie?
Here.
Councilman Melillo?
Here.
Councilman Rivera?
Here.
Council President Rhodes?
Here.
Mayor Sealy?
Here.
We have minutes. We have minutes from January 22nd, 2018 caucus minutes.
Move the minutes from January 22nd caucus.
Second it.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
We have minutes from January 22nd, 2018 regular minutes.
Make a motion, we move the minutes.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rhodes?
Yes.
We have minutes from February 5th, 2018 caucus meeting.
Make a motion to move the minutes.
Second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
We have minutes from February 5th, 2018 regular meeting.
Make a motion, we move those minutes.
Second it.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
We have minutes from March 5th, 2018 caucus meeting.
Make a motion, move the minutes.
Second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
We have a set of minutes, March 5th, 2018 regular meeting.
Make a motion, we move those minutes.
Second it.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
We have an ordinance on second reading. This is a public hearing. Ordinance 2018-03 was posted in the municipal building on April 26, 2018, and advertised in full in the Home News on May 1st. Public hearing was set for May 7th.
Make a motion, we open this ordinance for a public hearing.
Second it.
Second, yes.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes. So this ordinance is concerning stop signs being placed at Kensington Avenue and 2nd Street and 2nd Street and Brunswick Avenue. They did a traffic study and they've decided that this is needed. And I guess we need a motion to open to the public?
No,
We're open to the public.
It is open.
Is there any questions or comments?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
We need a motion to adopt.
I move that the ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be published according to law.
Second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Melillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes.
Now we have resolutions under consent agenda. Council President and council members, I'd like to have a motion to accept resolutions 2018-81 through 2018-35. 85, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to move the resolutions.
Second it.
Yes, second.
Councilman Stolen?
Yes.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Council President Rhodes?
Yes. We have some proclamations. And John,
Yeah.
would you like to read the first one?
Yeah, I definitely will. Older Americans Month. Engage in every age of May 2018. Whereas the Borough of Spotswood includes countless older Americans who enrich and strengthen our community. And whereas the Borough of Spotswood is committed to engaging and supporting older adults and their families and caregivers. And whereas we acknowledge the importance of taking part in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being no matter your age. And whereas though the wide array of services, programs, and activities, the Senior Resources Center, under the leadership of Donna Falkenberry, Director, empowers older citizens Spotswood to contribute to their own health and well-being and the well-being of their fellow citizens of all ages. Whereas Spotswood Senior Center is a borough of Spotswood County of Middlesex, affirms the dignity and self-worth, independence of our older residents by facilitating their decisions and actions, tapping their experiences, skills, and knowledge, and enabling their continued contributions to their community. Now, therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with our governing body, do hereby proclaim May 2018 to be Older Americans Month. We urge every resident to take time during this month to acknowledge the older adults and the people who serve them as influential and vital parts of our community. Dated May 7th, 2018. Ed Seeley, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Jose, would you like to read the next proclamation?
What's the next one?
Public Works.
Whereas Public Works professionally focus on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are in vital importance to sustainable and resiliency, community, and the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Borough of Spotswood. Whereas infrastructure, facilities, and service could not be provided without dedicated efforts of the public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees from the state and local government and the private sectors, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supplies, water treatment, and solid waste system, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And here's as in public interest of the citizens, civil leaders, and the children of the Borough of Spotswood to gain knowledgeable and maintain progressive interest in understanding the importance of public works and public programs in their community. And whereas Public Works Association has celebrated the annual National Public Works Week since 1960. Now, therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of Borough of Spotswood, together with the Borough Council and all the citizens of Spotswood, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through the 27th, 2018, to be National Public Work Week, and extend our thanks to the Borough Department of Public Works, led by Director Dean Paul, Mayor. We all call upon all citizens, business owners, civil organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contribution that the public works personnel make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Dated May 7, 2018, at Seeley, Mayor.
Thank you, Jose. And I've got a second. Public Works, if you've ever seen them out there in the middle of the night doing a water main break when it's 10 degrees out, you just appreciate every day what they do for this town. So Ed, please pass along to Public Works our appreciation. And it's a very busy month, May. We have another proclamation about EMS Stronger Together. Whereas in 1973, President Gerald Ford authorized Emergency Medical Services Week to celebrate EMS, its practitioners, and the important work they do in responding to medical emergencies. At the time, EMS was a fledgling profession, and EMS practitioners were only beginning to be recognized as a critical component of emergency medicine and the public health safety net. And whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, on behalf of the Borough Council and all of the citizens of Spotswood in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through 26th, 2018 as Emergency Medical Services Week, and extend appreciation to all of the Borough emergency medical technicians, together with the EMS Director, David Nichols, for their conscientious emergency medical services to the residents of the Borough of Spotswood and mutual aid to residents of our neighboring towns. Dated May 7, 2018, Ed Seeley, Mayor. Is there any EMS personnel here tonight? Okay, Ed, just please pass along to Dave our thanks for the good work that his people do every day in our community. And I've asked Ed to read this. Military Appreciation Month is May. And as you know, Ed is a former military, or still continues to be military background. So Ed, go ahead.
Thank you. Whereas the freedom and security that citizens of the United States enjoy today are direct results of the bloodshed and continued vigilance given by the United States Armed Forces over the history of our great nation. And whereas the sacrifices that such members of the United States Armed Forces and to the family members that support them have preserved the liberties that have enriched this nation, making it unique in the world community. And whereas in the United States Congress in 2004 passed a resolution proclaiming May as National Military Appreciation Month, calling all Americans to remember those who gave their lives in defense of freedom and to honor the men and women of all our armed forces who have served and are now serving our country, together with their families. And whereas the months of May and June are selected for the display of patriotism because during these months we celebrate Victory in Europe, VE Day, Military Spouse Day, Loyalty Day, Armed Forces Day and Week, National Day of Prayer, Memorial Day, Navy Day, Army Day, and Flag Day. Now therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with our Borough Council, do hereby proclaim the period of May 1st through June 14th, 2018 as a special time to show appreciation for our military. I further proclaim May to be National Military Appreciation Month in the Borough of Spotswood and encourage all citizens to join us in showing our gratitude by the appropriate display of flags and ribbons during the designated period. Dated May 7, 2018, signed by myself, Ed Seeley.
Is there any veterans in the audience besides Ed? Can you raise? Let's have a round of applause. Thank you for your service.
Okay.
And the next one is National Police Week. Ted.
Move this up again. Whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Spotswood Police Department. And whereas there have been 58,627 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2016, resulting in approximately 16,677 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas 360 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 129 officers killed in 2017 and 231 killed in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2018. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is a part of the National Police Week, which takes place this year on May 13th through the 19th, be it noted that because May 13, 2018 falls on a Sunday, some events will take place before the official dates of Police Week 2018. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their family, and the United States flag should be flown at half-staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with the governing body, formally designates May 13th through the 19th, 2018 as Police Week and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in the communities across the nation. We call upon all citizens in this community to especially honor and show our sincere appreciation to our police officers in Spotswood, led by Dr. Michael Zarrow, Chief of Police, by deed, remark, and by attitude. We further encourage our citizens to observe Police Officers Memorial Day to honor those peace officers who have lost their lives or become disabled in the performance of their duties. Dated May 7, 2018.
And I would just like to highlight the officers in our audience, and let's have a round of applause for everything they do. Thank you. Okay, we have,
Council President, if I might,
yes, you may.
since we just finished that proclamation, I believe Mayor Slavichek is in the audience today, would like to present something to the police.
Oh, a surprise.
I don't have my mayor hat on tonight.
Oh,
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
thank you for being here, Chris.
Oh, my pleasure. On behalf of the cast and crew, families, and friends of the Appleby School Drama Club, I stand before you this evening to acknowledge the fine efforts of the following Spotswood police officers: Detective Steve Gallo, Officer Dan Hoover, Officer John Berlingeri, and Detective Adam Sabatino. These individuals participated in the Appleby School 5th grade production of Willy Wonka Jr. in April, behind the scenes to support our flying and great glass elevator reveal. More than that, they participated in the well-known 5th grade play that has become a staple in this community, an experience as such that truly makes a distinct impact on the lives of our young students. Aside from their dedication and fine efforts, it was gratifying to see those who protect and serve our community each day involved in the arena of the performing arts. It represents to me the commitment and involvement to the future of society. These officers established a level of trust and camaraderie with the students that I am confident will play an important role in their lives. We'd like to present them with a golden ticket plaque, and these two young gentlemen would like to say a few words.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
Thank you for your efforts. Our elite SPD flying crew, please accept this acknowledgement for all that you do.
Behind the scenes, you helped make our show the best, with all of your valuable time that you really did invest.
You made it possible for Grandpa Joe and Charlie Bucket to float on air. It's quite apparent that more than protect and serve, that you truly care.
The Great Glass Elevator was the golden ticket to the show. We appreciate your participation more than you will ever know.
We salute you for all that you do to keep us safe each and every day. A standing ovation to your agency for helping us with our play.
Okay, standing ovation, let's go.
Very nice.
Gave me chills. That was great.
You don't have to go real quick, Greg.
Thank you, Director Chris.
Yes. Thanks to all that contributed to the success.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. I think we have future politicians here. Surprise. Oh, come on, Tom. You know you miss it.
I like that laugh.
All right, we put a couple of items on the agenda. The first item we're going to talk about is the intersection of Snow Hill Street, Manalapan Road, Main Street, Fleet Street, and DeVoe Avenue. Does anyone here on the dais want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, we had spoken during our caucus meeting a couple weeks ago regarding this, and during the Borough administration, we worked with the county and had come up with a complete redesign of that area. That wasn't to be, however, but speaking with Bruce Koch, our engineer, and the mayor, we had a little meeting down there, and regardless of who ends up repairing a lot of the county road, there are some portions of it that are going to be our responsibility. And Bruce had a very good idea that because of the development that's happening all around us, East Main Street, now I know a lot of you are here tonight because of what's happening by across from ShopRite, our streets are becoming impassable, and we have some dangerous intersections, as John has pointed out, where Crescent Avenue comes into Manalapan Road. So Bruce believes that we can make the case of the additional traffic being in need of a discretionary grant, which will be basically up to the mayor to pen a letter requesting such a grant with the input from the engineer on the dollar amount. And with our fingers crossed, we could accomplish a great deal in improving our intersections of Vliet and Main and Crescent or Snow Hill and Manalapan, and making them safer, and also replacing our traffic light at Vliet and DeVoe. So that would be a great thing.
Well, we've begun the letter already.
Good.
So as soon as I get final numbers, we can finish the draft and send it out.
Terrific. So John had initially brought this up, and I live on that side of town. And when you go onto Main Street from Snow Hill, you have to do a 360 with your head almost to be able to see the cars coming up, and they come up very fast. But I got to tell you, over the last year, it has been insane. I've sat there at 10 o'clock in the morning and counted 30 cars coming, either going down Manalapan or coming up, so that you have to wait literally 5 minutes to get one car through that intersection, even in the middle of the day. And I can only imagine when that is fully developed, where the old Stewart's Root Beer stand, that's going to be all houses down. That's going to be all condos, and that's going to be developed. Monroe is now flattening another section off of Spotswood Englishtown Road to put in, Regency is putting in more housing down there. They're building to the left of that corner. And then you have, well, Helmeta, I don't know. Are they fully built out, Chris? Okay, so they're fully built out. And then you have what's coming down by ShopRite. So it's really insane. I think the amount of development that's going on around us that will directly impact our roads, because we are the cross through for Monroe, through East Brunswick to get to the Turnpike. And so I'm glad that we're having a discussion about it, because it truly is unsafe to try and pull onto Main from Snow Hill the way it is now. And I'm glad that Bruce and CME came up with a workaround that is something that we could look at to improve the safety of that intersection. So thank you, Ed, for working on that.
And Ed, I guess you're going to talk to Bruce. There's a lot of, certainly there are a lot of facts that our police department could probably supply with as well about how failed an intersection DeVoe is, accident reports and such that we can include in that grant to really make our case as why this is needed.
I don't see where we're going to have a problem getting it.
Well,
I think we have a great case, especially with the building going around it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I got to tell you, I know my neighbor's son got hit by a car down there when he crossed many years ago, but that there has been accidents there and incidents with children crossing, because Immaculate School is right there too. So I'm glad that we're doing that and looking at that. Any comments from the rest of the dais on that?
Well, I know the county is eventually going to have to step up because of the same pressure. They're eventually going to have to do their part of this puzzle. With us completing our side, will at least alleviate the huge expense that was going to be put on us when we initially looked at this.
Well, I'll be seeking a resolution of support from neighboring communities, from the mayors of them offices
Very
as
good.
well.
Terrific.
Traffic impacts them as well.
Absolutely.
So, and I think more numbers yelling at someone, they tend to listen to us.
That's right.
Very good.
Very good. Okay, the next item for discussion here is a hotbed, so I imagine that's why some of the public is here now. It's the proposed development at the corner of Old Stage and Summerhill in the old insurance building. It's not old. I don't know how old it is, to tell you the truth, but they're going to develop that. It's a mixed-use development, and they're putting some residential housing, they're putting some affordable housing, and they're doing some other development. So who wants to open it to discussion?
Well, they're proposing some 4-story apartment buildings there, along with a Chase Bank and a CVS pharmacy, catty corner from Raceway gas station and ShopRite, at the very sleepy insurance office building that no one even really knew what type of business was in there. It was a very low-impact site.
I believe it's 120 residential units they're putting in there.
That's what they're
Yes.
proposing, yes.
There's 300 parking spaces.
120 units.
Yeah. There's been some impact or some input from the planning board. There was some discussion today where the chairman had spoken with our borough attorney for the planning board. He had suggested that the council authorize CME to represent the borough as an implicated neighboring party that could look out for our concerns, such as flooding. I mean, we know ShopRite already in a heavy storm, the water just comes up out of the grates. So that would be something we can do as a borough, is to authorize CME to represent us and to make a case of anything that he finds to be of significant nature to their board during their hearing.
Anybody else on the dais? We got minutes from their planning board meeting, and they discussed the project, and they talk about Spotswood in it. So I think they're aware that we're aware of what they're doing. We got noticed. Ed, do you
clarify who they?
Cheryl, we'll have it open to the public, and you'll ask questions then, okay? The planning board from East Brunswick, we got their minutes, and they discussed the project amongst themselves, and that's public knowledge, so that's what we read. And so I think they're aware, the planning board from East Brunswick, that we will have some concerns. If you go there probably about an hour ago, it's probably backed up at that light a quarter mile to maybe a half mile down to Adirondack, the traffic to go straight through or to make the left onto Summerhill Road. So I just don't know how this, I know this will negatively impact that intersection. And like Ed said, there's a lot of flooding down there when there's a lot of water, a lot of rain. And I think ShopRite has alleviated some of the stuff in their parking lot, but I know in the past with the rains we've had, they've had cars flooded out that were parked in that parking lot. So I can only imagine what they're going to do with the rest of this land and develop it, and how it will cover more of the land and have less drainage. So I guess we'll have questions on that on the open public meetings. But
I've also got a concern about the...
into the mic. Thanks.
I've also got a concern about the impact on what residential properties will lose because of this. You know, are residents going to be impacted, and the value of their homes going to go down because of East Brunswick's moves?
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure, Frostwood is right there, and I don't know if that's Green Acres. I don't know if they'll expand beyond the pad of that insurance building and the parking lot there, or if they'll take up more of those Frostwoods.
Well, they're saying 10 acres.
Wow.
But
Oh,
I
then
think
definitely.
that's all their property. It's not part
Right.
of, I mean, it is wooded, but their property extends into Frost, but they just don't have it developed.
Also, one of the problems you're going to have is these cars are going to be cutting through the development on Spotswood
To avoid the
to
light.
avoid the light. They're doing it now.
Yeah.
So what kind of impact it's going to have against the residents? God forbid the kids are outside playing.
Well, as I said, when you see the traffic on Old Stage, the way it backs up almost to Adirondack, you will And I feel, anyone that has a traffic report that states that this isn't going to have a detrimental impact, I don't think it's worth the paper it's going to be written on, so.
Well,
President?
yes.
When I was at the New Jersey Conference of Mayors last week, I sat down with Mayor Cohen
Good.
of East Brunswick, and he's invited me to go over to his office and go over this plan in a whole lot more detail.
Terrific.
So I can, because when you start reading all these little lines of this, that, and numbers and sizes, it really doesn't tell me what's going on. Other than the fact it does mention 20% of affordable housing. That used to be a scary term, but you got to remember nowadays, 20%, this is the only good thing I'll say about affordable housing, is most of our kids today, that's what they fit into affordable housing, because they just can't afford to go out and buy a home right now. So that's why, that's where he was trying to alleviate my pain a little bit, but I still want a little better explanation, because our concerns definitely are water runoff, which is a big one, and number one, definitely traffic. I mean, we all sit at that intersection, and I don't know about you, but I've sat there for 10, 15 minutes sometimes, just waiting to get across the light. So I will be sitting down with him and find out what's going on, and I'll bring it back before the council.
Great. We might want to authorize our planning board attorney to also attend the meetings in East Brunswick, or our CME professionals, maybe to keep an eye out for what developments are happening. Would that be something we want to do?
I think CME has to review the plan to see what his concerns are. When we have an application at our planning board, he reviews all the aspects of it and brings those concerns to the board. So I think we have to have our concerns brought to their board.
So then, that's brought informally, or is that brought?
He would have to represent us as a borough.
Okay.
We would have to authorize that.
Well, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So,
Can you imagine living there and trying to make a left out of any one of them driveways?
They show a left on Old Stage. How would you ever make a left on Old Stage?
You won't
Crossing
make a left.
3 lanes of traffic.
You won't make a left on any of those streets.
No.
Forget about it, it's a suicide.
Oh, you're murdered.
It's a nut.
well, let's move forward and see if we can get more details after you visit with Mayor Cohen from East Brunswick. Come back and let's discuss this further so that we can stay right on top of this for our residents and actually for all of us who travel down Summerhill Road, right, and Old Stage Road.
Isn't there hearing on the 17th of May?
Yes. So Ed, you think you'll meet with him?
Probably definitely before his meeting.
Well, how do we authorize him to do that? We don't have a figure that we could plug in.
Or
He may need a resolution to do that.
For me to meet with him?
No, for Bruce to represent us at that meeting.
We need a resolution to do that? The mayor can't direct?
Well, there will be a cost involved, so.
Absolutely, there's a cost.
Well, can we get a pledge now to support that? And then we just don't, if it's before our next meeting. Pat, when's our next meeting?
May 21st.
Oh, okay, so it's before the next meeting. So can
That's
we
our
authorize
engineer.
him?
I mean, I'm sure Bruce can work with you to go to the meeting and then resolve whatever.
Figure maybe?
Right, and resolve whatever. I mean, how long do you think the meeting would take?
This one could be a long
Oh,
one.
this one could be a long one. Depends, because it's open to the public, which means you all can go to that meeting as well.
And where's it held? At the municipal building in East Brunswick?
Yes.
By the police station there? Okay. Good idea.
I mean, you could authorize Bruce based on his hourly fee schedule.
Okay.
On a per hour basis.
You okay with
That way
that?
there's
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
number limiting factor attached to it.
Pat, can we do something right now?
Well, I mean, you direct the borough engineer to review various issues at every meeting. I think that's implicitly in his authority. I mean, if
Okay.
you want to do a resolution, you can, but I think it's implicit. He is the borough engineer. He's there to serve the borough.
Okay.
There's obviously a consensus. Everybody on the council agrees that it's appropriate.
Yes.
I don't think we need a formal resolution.
Okay, very good. Thank you,
It's gonna
Pat.
be confirmed on the bills.
Keep it simple. Okay, so we
I'll
authorize
call
him.
Bruce tomorrow.
Very good, thank you. Let's do some liaison reports.
Yeah.
I'm going to start over with Jose, John.
Go.
I have nothing.
Right to
No?
left.
Ted?
Right to left. Switch it around.
We're good.
Okay.
No, I raised my concerns.
Yeah.
John, you.
Up, okay. All right. The Board of Education, May 15th, high school library, 7 o'clock. The library, Main Street, the 17th, 7 o'clock. That. And I want to say a couple of things about, I'll let the mayor finish it up. Schweitzer, the park down there, you know, you finish it up, all right?
You can take
I
it.
just
Go
want,
with
no, no, you
Go
know.
with
You be honest, you're the mayor of the town. I can't go by, I want you to say it. I respect you.
Okay, John, your report is done?
All right,
You're turfing it?
No, I'm not done. There's one more thing. See, now you're distracting me. What are you rushing me? You ain't going nowhere. Take it easy. We got a closed session here. Take it easy. All right, go ahead. That's it.
Uh-oh.
I'm done.
Go ahead, John.
I'm finished. No, that's it. No problem. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I pass. Go ahead, Ed.
Nothing?
Nothing. You got it.
Wow. John, if you think of it, yell over at me and jump right in there. As I said, I attended the NJCM conference last week, and among some of the things we talked about were the 2% arbitration cap, which is right now currently a dead issue. There's no movement on it whatsoever. Doesn't look like there's going to be any time in the hurry. We talked about school security. Got a lot of good information to give our high school on certain systems they provide that are pretty good. One of them is called Silex. I'm hoping that I called Grant Peabody this morning, spoke to him about it. I'm going to drop it off at him because they're currently using 911. Am I right?
Sure, 911.
Sure, 911. And this is a little more advanced. This will actually tell the officer who's in charge exactly what room it is and what code of a problem it is. So it takes their response time, which ours isn't very long to begin with because we're right across the street, but from minutes to seconds.
It's like a panic button that they put in the classroom?
It goes to every teacher's cell phone, and the teachers are instructed, of course, what color means what. So if they press in the phone and hit a color, their room comes right up on a board and it tells them what room they're in and what the problem is, whether it be a fight between two students, whether it be, hopefully never, but a gun problem or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good system. I know they're looking into doing something because I know at the last meeting there were a lot of residents concerned about school safety. And they also talked about the dreaded marijuana legislation, which regrettably for law enforcement pretty much is probably going to go through in one way or another. And I know definitely medical marijuana and probably recreational because there was a lot of talk about it, a real lot of talk. And it seems to have the support. So. Enough said about that. I married 2 more couples last week. Both of them were Spotswood residents, either past or present. I attended the National Day of Prayer. I met with Senator Greenstein, Assemblyman D'Angelo, Assemblyman Benson, representatives from the DEP, the County OEM Coordinator, John Ferguson, I believe he's Deputy Coordinator.
Right, Deputy.
Councilman Rivera and John Mayer, and the BA. We met by the lake to talk about money, because now the DEP has grant funding or funding. 2 different sources, we're looking to it right now. We showed them how far we went with the lake and how much help we need, and they seem to all be on board and very responsive. In fact, the DEP gave us a great many good ideas of a way to attack this.
Wonderful.
So there's movement on that. So I'm hoping before my term is done, the lake is complete.
Oh, I want to see some.
See. I attended a ribbon cutting ceremony for the park donated by Switzer. I'll do it. John was there with me. And I met with the Spotswood Soccer Club about a safety concern. As you know, they play in the field across from inland. And they're starting to play more on this side of the field between the road and the ballpark.
Yeah.
And they spoke to both landowners, which are inland and the hardwood company, and they've granted them permission to put up a 4-foot fence. They have to go through all the ordinances, the zoning board and the permits and whatnot, but I've actually talked to them and said, because there were concerns about sightliness, I said, well, make the fence green, it'll blend with the grass, so you really won't notice it. And when it comes down to kids' safety, really, I mean, this is kind of almost a no-brainer, but they will be coming before the zoning board.
So we maintain those fields too, right?
No, we don't. We are going to relieve ourselves from being in the fields, because right now I believe the school does a lot through there and the rec department. I mean, like not rec, but Spotswood Soccer Club, which is a separate entity.
We had complaints in the woods by Clearwater Village of excessive noise, underage riders on ATVs by Cat's Way. They have been addressed by the chief, lieutenant, in our police department, and I have, knock on wood, not had no emails yelling at me about it this past week. We also had some traffic complaints over in the Polonius Street area. I don't know if we talked about it once before, large wreckers, vehicles that really shouldn't be back there on that very narrow street as well.
Yeah, oh, jeez.
Someone was turning their yard into a bit of a junkyard. That's all been cleared up, and the resident called today expressing their appreciation. And my last piece is, while I was down at that convention, I talked to a person from an organization called New Jersey Shares. This is an organization that helps people on limited incomes with their utility bills. You want to see me after the meeting? I can give you the address of the place, the email address, as well as the phone number. And it's worth looking into, because if you're on a fixed income, they will help you pay those bills. And, that's all I have.
Wow, you were busy.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry. Memorial Day parade's coming. Hope to see everybody out there. All right, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, that is a wonderful thing that we still have the Memorial Day Parade and the visit to the graves in the morning out of the Legion, and just a wonderful tradition. And thanks to you, Ed, for doing that every year. And every year you say you're never going to do it again, and every year you do it.
I'm not going to say it this time.
Okay. Do I have a motion to open to the public?
Make a motion, we open the public portion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Would anyone like to come up and discuss any topic about anything? And here comes Mr. Barlow.
I'm going to come up first because my little guy wants to get out of
The
here.
Honorable Mr. Barlow.
The Honorable Mr. Barlow.
Interesting to be on this side of the dais. Tom Barlow, 57 Sloan Road.
Good to see you.
It's good to see everyone here. Real quick, with regards to the development at the corner of Old Stage and Summerhill, I don't think you can just send CME. You're going to have to send an attorney. CME can't represent the borough. An attorney has to represent the borough, and they can call CME or their traffic experts or anybody as a witness. So you may want to call Mr. Keneally, who was very good, as you know, when we aggressively dealt with Helmetta the last time in a neighboring town tried to get development that was going to impact us without our input. I don't know if you're ever going to stop development there, but you certainly can limit it, I think, based on the traffic to get it severely down from 120. But you're going to need an attorney. The other thing, you're going to probably have to hire potentially a separate traffic expert, because CME does do work for East Brunswick. So I don't know if that's going to pose a conflict. Bruce will have to check with Dave Samuels. But you have a very short window. That meeting may or may not take more than one hearing. So you really may want to touch base with Mr. Keneally tomorrow.
Good point.
And get moving quickly. At least if you retain a traffic expert and he shows up at the meeting and says he wants to present it at the next hearing because it's been such a quick time frame, I would hope that the planning board over there would extend the time frame out to at least give him enough time to do an appropriate traffic study. Whatever it costs, as we found out from Helmetta, it was money well spent. I think it's paid itself back many times over, and again, it should be money well spent. So that's my 2
Jim
cents.
Keneally, I think, was on a string of emails today. He's the one that recommended Bruce. So
Again, he may not know.
Happened after him, but I would.
I just don't know if Jim knows that CME does. CME does a lot of work in a lot of towns, and I just don't know if Mr. Samuels is going to want to
conflict
as a potential conflict. He may say it's not. We do very little work because they do a lot of their engineering in house. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
That's a good suggestion. Sure, come on up.
But you don't get ahead.
You're not going yet.
And I usually never say anything. You know that, Marge.
Yeah.
I'm Maureen Barlow, 57 Sloan Road also. I know that guy over there and the cute kid next to him. And thank you, Police Department, because that was amazing what you guys did for the families. I really appreciate it. But Ed, just to your comment about the New Jersey shares, you all know that St. Peter's Church and Community of Hope Ministries does so very much for the community. If that could go up on our Spotswood's website, I know we could be a vehicle to get that information out to those in need.
Great idea, Maureen.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you, Maureen. Anyone else wants to come up?
Cheryl Bass, 289 Main Street. There had been a assemblyman from New York. His name was Kenneth Zabrowski, and he was a foe to overdevelopment, because any property, any part of a town, a city, when you develop it, you have to have the surrounding facilities to absorb all the new traffic. And with all of these 120 units, as the planning board is looking into right now, would overtax all of the other facilities within the area. Just to give you an aside on Mr. Zabrowski, he died in 2007, and he was from New York. And the junior senator from New York at that time, Hillary Clinton, said she was going to rename the post office up in New City, where he came from, in his honor. And that was another thing she never took care of, but it has been renamed in his honor. And
Cheryl, get to your point, please.
Yes, and we cannot absorb the traffic, we cannot absorb the residential people coming into this area, the buildings that are there, the shopping that is in that area, is for the current population, which has overexpanded currently. So we cannot absorb any more people. And East Brunswick has also failed in their attempt when they redid the new approach from exit 9 to get onto Route 18, Route 1. All of the businesses there, they say, oh, we'll knock it down, we'll bring a new business. They have not improved the area. So they have failed at what their other planning developments have been. And no matter how wide they have made Route 18, it used to be 2 lanes, now it's 3 lanes. As soon as it opens up, more traffic. This is a development that should not go up. And we also, years ago, we were working with Helmeta. Everybody came to the public speaking over there. The town council people came as well. And we had protested, everybody had protested turning the snuff factory into a luxury apartment development. And the words of the public were totally disregarded, and Governor Corzine at that time had changed the law so that it wasn't going to be senior citizens, it was going to be open to the public. All families could come in there, which taxes our schools. Senior citizens don't go to public school. And we were totally disregarded, so it's important to get our message across. And in closing, I do want to say about National Police Week. When I was up here before, I had said what we need is the death penalty, that a 3-time cop killer was given parole in New York City. Well, the other perpetrator of the crime in killing those 3 policemen is coming up for parole in June. So please, everybody, go to nycpba.org and put in no parole for cop killers.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Hello.
Hi.
Dulcie Branco Rivera, 46 Harvard Avenue. A street length away from the notification area of the Summerhill Old Stage development. I read through the minutes that they that's posted on the Save Frost website, and the minutes there are from November of 2016, and in those minutes it states that somehow we knew about that development. So I'm wondering, when did they notify us? Did we know back then?
Back in 2016, this is the first I've heard of it. Is anything before the planning board? Because you're the liaison, Kurt.
No, Dawn McDonald, who lives in East Brunswick, had given us some little inkling that something was happening up there, but we really didn't get an official idea of what was happening, or that they were hearing having any hearings at the planning board regarding it.
Those minutes says that Spotswood was noticed, and that was back in November 2016. I know that my neighbors didn't get anything. No. The first thing they got
Spotswood residents were noticed, or Spotswood as a borough?
It says Spotswood was noticed.
Yeah.
It doesn't mention whether it's residents or the borough itself, or the Borough Council itself. It just says Spotswood was noticed. I know that my neighbors were only notified like 2 weeks ago when the letter came out, and only a few of them, because it's 200 feet.
Wow.
So, like I said, I am actually just a street, like the guy across the street got it and I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned more so about the residential buildings as opposed to the businesses themselves. 120 units in my head says 250 cars.
Mm-hmm.
The cars are already speeding down Jensen Avenue. I'm right on that corner. I hear them. They're speeding down Jensen to go to Vaughan, or even come down my little street, which is 1 block long, to cut through down to Summerhill, so they don't have to do that late.
Yeah.
And my neighborhood is chock full of children who play in the streets because we don't have sidewalks, which is okay. But because we have no sidewalks, they play in the streets, just like my kids played in the street. And I'm really concerned about those 120 units that are going up. From what I've noticed from the all the notifications, that May 19th meeting is the meeting for them to approve this development. It's not just a hearing just so we can hear about the plans. This has been long in the works, and they're supposed to approve this on May 19th.
Let me ask you a question.
May 17th, I'm sorry, May 17th.
Did your neighbor get a notice before this?
No, this is the first one.
It can't be the meeting to approve.
It is. That's what it says.
But that's what it says, and I don't really trust them.
Final meeting for approval is what they're.
It's a zoning board meeting.
Well, then they didn't notice, and that would be a big issue if they didn't notice.
Correct. That is, the whole thing is a big issue, because honestly, I remember the mayor had met with the mayor of East Brunswick, what was it, about a year ago, about the other affordable housing that put in on Main Street that they never told you about. And I'm going to guess that he didn't mention this one either. When he talked to him about this new housing development that he never told us about on our border, I think it would have been nice for him to turn around to the mayor and say, oh, by the way, there's another one going up too. But he didn't. So nothing that they're doing is being fair to Spotswood. And if you read through those minutes, it was very clear that they are very happy about the location because there are very few neighbors to notify. And in fact, if you look at the property, the only East Brunswick people they need to notify, I believe, are the 2 houses across the street next to the 7-Eleven.
That's it, just 4 houses.
That's it.
And they were notified originally prior to the sale in 2017. They tried to mount a defense. They did not do a good job in getting the people roused. My husband and I actually created the website, SafeFrost.com. So far, we've had almost 7,000 views of the site. We've been working really hard since Friday to get the word.
All right, you know what? I'd like you to come up and say what you just said. Just come up to the mic when she's done and just give us the background. That would be great.
I really think that we need to get a lawyer in there and get this at least stopped so that we can take a look. This is going to severely impact my property values, not so much as the neighbors across the street from me and the ones on Old Stage Road. The one on Old Stage and Vaughan are friends of ours, and I'm sure their house property is going to go in half because they're going to have this big CVS sign blaring in their window.
Wow.
When all they've had all these years is a very nice, quiet building. 250 cars on that street is going to completely gridlock the corner. Mm-hmm. It's already a mess. It's going to gridlock it.
We hear you, Dolce. We hear you. Can I ask the council, our council, do we need to do anything to ask an attorney from our planning board to attend this?
I mean, I agree with Mayor Barlow. I think our planning board attorney should attend.
Okay, so then what do we need to do to have that happen? Just ask him to?
Again, he's already under retention. And again, it has to be confirmed on the bills list, so the risk is really on his head rather than ours.
Okay.
He doesn't approve it.
All right.
I agree with Mayor Barlow. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so Ed, can we direct the planning board attorney to attend the next meeting of the East Brunswick Planning Board?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Did you want to come up and elaborate on what you were saying?
Hi, Lauren. I'm Kathy Decker. I grew up at 61 Irving Avenue, and now I live on 8 Jefferson Road, so I've got it coming and going. But yes, our neighborhood just learned about the development on Thursday night. On Friday, we started to formulate. So I should tell you that the Home News has a story coming out about this week. I'm speaking with them tomorrow. We spoke with E.B. Patch yesterday, and we have notified the Star Ledger, New Jersey 12, and a whole host of media.
How about Tap Into? Because that's something that we participate with.
We've already interviewed with Tap on Sunday, so that piece will be coming out too. But I should tell you, just to give you a little wrap, I'll let you know what we've let the media know. I'm writing to alert you to a breaking news story in East Brunswick that, despite required legal notification, has not been covered by your outlet. In fact, there's been absolutely no media coverage about this incident anywhere. A high-density development project including 120 units, 291 parking spots, rental office, bank, and CVS is planned for the property located at the intersection of Summerhill and Old Stage Roads. Officials have made this information conspicuously difficult to learn. We are mobilizing our community to turn a light on this project that will severely impact the intersection that is already terribly congested and often dangerous. But don't take my word for it. Following are quotes made by East Brunswick Board member Howard Schmidt during a November 2016 East Brunswick Planning Board meeting. They include, and I quote, "I have serious reservations about rezoning of the Mack-Cali tract," which, by the way, Mack-Cali is the owner of the property. Although they've established an independent LLC, which is typical because this is going to be fought and they know it too. Quote, "I know how difficult this intersection is." Quote, "I've seen a lot of accidents at that intersection over the years." Quote, "The reaction of the police officers," these are East Brunswick police officers, "that I spoke to," because it's patrolled by both our police officers and East Brunswick police officers, was that you could not pick a worse spot. Quote, "I cannot support multifamily uses because once we have it permitted, permitted use, then of course they don't need a variance." The meeting on the 17th is a zoning board variance meeting. Right now that property is zoned for 50 parking spaces. They want almost 300. We will and cannot let that happen. And as to the question on affordable housing, we want to put this out. This is not about affordable housing, but Mayor Cohen wants to make it about affordable housing. He talks about millennials and senior citizens not being able to afford to live in the neighborhood. And that is tragedy. And listen, as an East Brunswick resident, I paid almost $19,000 in taxes in my house last year. So I understand the implications. We all understand the implications. But to make this argument about affordable housing is just bad politics. It is not about that. It is about congestion. You cannot make a left turn out of Bosco Drive on the East Brunswick side of Old Stage. Yep. You cannot make a left turn out of my mother's on Irving Avenue onto Summerhill. You cannot make a left turn in Middlesex County, which, by the way, I am alerting the county, which I did today. I've also alerted the DOT because the Department of Transportation will have to approve this intersection change as well. And I bet they don't know either. Thank you.
Wow. I'm glad you're on our side. Very powerful.
I want to say something.
Sure, John. Go ahead. To the mic.
You know, there's a woman there said something that's 20% right.
John, go to the mic.
You can't hear me out there?
Go ahead.
So, thanks for asking me that question. The woman's 103% right. This town's got 8,000 people, a little over 8,000 people. Over there, I don't know what they got, 50, 45, whatever they got. The question is, those people, and this calling the mayor there, they want to put this as 120 units in there. The question is population in there, of course, the traffic, we all know that. Which way, that way. They don't care. It's all about money. It's all it is. They want to grab that tax money. They don't care. And the ones that instigate that want to do this, they don't live around here. They don't live around here. They're not going to go that way. They live on the other side of maybe East Brunswick, or they live on the other side that way, or the other way. They don't come from the area. They're not from here. They don't have to make that trip. See, this is what it's all about. It's all about money. And always remember that. That's the money. It's always about money. That's it. really. It's a habit for us. See, we're the minority here. See, we're the minority. They're the majority because of population-wise. We're the minority. And this is where it's at. You know, I ride through these streets every day. What a havoc here we got. You can go back and blame the grandfathers and the grandfathers about Main Street and Summerhill Road and all that stuff.
I know, it just says
You know, I just wanted to get across. You made a good point there, miss.
Thank you, John.
Very good.
Come on up. Come on up to the mic.
Quick question. My name is Michael Rose. I'm 40 Irving Avenue. And I want to go back to that 20% low-income housing. Can anybody here guarantee that that low-income housing is going to be utilized for just that? Or is it going to be for individuals that are brought in that are undesirable, that are from this governor's new thing about the sanctuary city? I mean, are we going to get an overflux of crime because of this 20%? Nobody can guarantee that it's going to be like the mayor said, for kids just coming in that can't afford to buy their own homes. That's all well and good. That's nice. But that's not the way it's going to be, and you all know that, but nobody wants to touch that subject. You're going to go around with the traffic, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But crime is going to increase. I got 25 years law enforcement backing me on what I'm saying, and I'm sure any one of the police officers that are here will back me up if that challenge to ask the question. Got to look into that. That's all I'm asking. Just look into it and make sure.
Oh, I think they have our attention. But thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
John Nitz, 35 Jensen Avenue.
Hi.
So a lot of my questions have been answered, right? Because I think by law it's 200 feet minimum that they have to give notice. I live across from Jose. I've gotten notice, and your wife answered my question. You've never been, right? So I agree. It's probably 12 houses in Spotswood that got noticed out of this. So what can we do? How can we spread word? Can we put this on our webpage? Facebook? Can we mail this out? Can we make copies and just drop it in people's mailboxes, right? What we really need is all those people that showed up here.
Social media is very good and very powerful, so I'm not sure what we want. Ed, what are your thoughts with the website?
Well, my thoughts with the website, we can put it on the website certainly, but I'm a little curious because I've been reading the minutes while you guys have been talking from that meeting, and you were quoting pretty good back there. But it says here that the Borough of Spotswood would be notified directly. It doesn't say we were, because every 1, 2, 3, we were on the
We were all there, yeah.
There was a different mayor at that time, but I don't recall any notification whatsoever.
There was, because me and my wife went to that meeting.
Someone else had said, I'll say, I did speak to the mayor about the one over by 7-Eleven on Main Street, where Anheuser-Busch used to be, but there was never no mention of the one over here by 7-Eleven. So, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, how do we get all the people that showed up here for the EMS meetings, right? If we fill their room with all our people, saying we don't want to do this, it's a bigger voice, right? It's just not one person. It's just not this woman,
The
right?
Save Frost group. The Save Frost group. Are they current with all of their information?
The Save Frost group is us, and yes, we're current. So
Okay.
if you go to the site, we have a copy of the site plan. We have a copy of the ordinance that's going to be discussed on the 17th. We've also alerted all of the area PTAs, including your PTA.
Good.
We've alerted Frost PTA and Bound Monroe because it's all impacted. We're probably going to let Monroe know too, because everybody in this area, anyone who
Well, they go up through 18, through Spotswood and up Summerhill Road. So, yeah, Monroe would be impacted also. Yeah. So is it savefrost.com? Do you have a... Okay, everybody, savefrost.com.
I just happen to have a couple. So if people really are serious about this, one thing you have to know is you are not allowed to put flyers in somebody's mailbox. I did. So you're not allowed. Don't,
Shh. Don't tell.
But you can go, and so we canvassed the neighborhoods, and anybody who was mowing their lawn, anybody who was taking kids to soccer practice, whatever, we talked to people. And as of today, the site has really over 6,000 views already.
That's terrific, really. Thank you. The K is still our website, but I know we're in the plans of expanding that to a small committee of employees and managing that through them, but that's future, it's not current. Current, it's K. So.
But anything that you want to put on there, she would throw it to my office first to make sure if it's okay. Because, you know, with the social media, you really got to be careful too.
What platform are you using currently, if you don't mind me asking?
Tap into is our official formal thing. You know what? I'm not sure. We just have the one borough website. I think the different groups in the borough have their own Facebook and that kind of media.
We don't have. Police department does, but we don't.
Okay, continuing. Old Stage Road and Summerhill Road are county roads. Is the county involved in this now?
Old Stage is not.
Is Old Stage not? Oh, Summerhill is. So do they get involved?
No, it's just the way it was designated.
It's not a marked.
Yeah.
Not a marked road like 615, 637. If it doesn't have that placard on it with a number, it's not a county road.
Who plows it? East Brunswick does the right side, we do the left side?
No.
No, we share, Diane. So we do some of it, and then they do some of it. We did a swap to see who would plow them.
I would bet money it was a county road.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
So does the county get involved? Did they,
I'm sure they're going to have to get involved because if they're going to have an exit or an entrance off the county road, and they're going to go through a variance.
They're putting a center lane, a turning lane in too, right? So
yeah. So engineer, let's have the engineer comment on that.
I know that they would have to submit to the county for their approval, and the county would do a traffic. They would have them do a traffic study amongst other things, including
just on Summerhill or including Old Stage.
Well, it would be that intersection. I think they're primarily they would be reviewing Summerhill, but they would have to review Old Stage.
Okay, even though Old Stage is not a county road, they still would include that in their
They still would include that in their submittal.
Okay, and then with that study, would they expand it to the bottom of Old Stage and Main Street? Because now they're building those other apartment buildings and those other things.
Goodness, yeah.
And now they're building these. I mean, that area, you know, all that traffic that's going to be down there is ridiculous too, right? Yeah. So this just adds to that.
And then you've got DeVoe, and you've got Monroe and DeVoe. I'm telling you, it's going to be a tsunami.
Yeah, going down to Summerhill to Main Street, that corner, right? So when we do the study, it shouldn't just be on that corner, right? It's an impact to the whole, almost every corner in our township.
I think, though, it's what the land touches. So the land would touch the county road, you know, the East Brunswick side of Old Stage, but I don't think it would extend. They would do a study involving another intersection that's probably a mile down the road. I don't think they would do
So they do that study, and they get that housing in. That study says, hey, we're good to go. Now they're going to do this study and isolate it.
Do we have traffic here? Is anybody, police chief? Can you comment on that? When they do a variance like this and they do a traffic study, would they do other intersections within like a mile or two radius of the site?
It depends what the nature of the project is. Something like this in a neighboring town, former Mayor Barlow spoke about, that's an East Brunswick jurisdiction with a county road, so you have to get multiple agencies involved in that. And if the CME is used by multiple jurisdictions, it might be an outside entity now if there's a conflict there. So it depends on where we're going.
Okay, so it may or may not.
Yeah, because if you take it individually, it says, hey, it might pass. But you put it all together, you go, oh, this is a ton of traffic, right? Yeah. So we do one-offs, and the numbers look better, right?
Yeah.
So it's bad. I'm going through my notes. I thought too of Frostwoods possibly being Green Acres, but you cleared that up, so that wasn't it. And then just what's the impact to us besides the traffic? It's we're going to need more police officers, right? The fire department, the wear and tear on our roads, right? The impact to us and the cost. So not only is my house value going to go down, but my taxes are going to go up, right? Just to add all that volume to what we do, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know what we can do to fight it, but we definitely need to put an effort in, and I'd like to see that room filled like we had here for EMS. I think the more people hear our voice, I think the better off we're going to be.
I agree.
And then in reading this, it does say for preliminary and final site plan, but I don't know what that means. Is that really the first and only, or is it really, hey?
Kurt, what's your experience?
If they weren't noticed, then they would have to start from scratch. So it has to, I would think.
What's the date on your letter?
Terminology if engineer. Could that be the first meeting?
It says April. It says April 24th. I'm going to tell you, I received this 2 weeks ago.
It's still probably the preliminary meeting.
So somewhere in that.
Well, we're going to have an attorney there, and we're going to have our engineer there, so whatever it is, we're going to get some more detail about it, and we're going to figure out what we can do to work with them to try and modify this to the comfort of both towns, I guess, is how you want to put it.
Well, we're probably going to, I would defer to my attorney, but I think we're going to have to ask Mr. Keneally if there's some way we can put a stay on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's moving too fast and we need time to digest.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we have a relationship.
Little slow on the 200-foot mark, as well as we never heard nothing. And Chief, have they ever talked to you about this? No, sir. Okay, so...
So our professionals weren't involved.
Yeah, and you know,
and now they are, so then...
It's going to make it difficult for us to get out of our doubt.
It's just such an eyesore. I mean, right, it's down the road. You need
Well, I
pharmacy,
commend you for coming out tonight and really bringing your enthusiasm and your paperwork, and I assure you that us on the dais here will be looking into this, and we will have more information at the next meeting. But meanwhile, we will publicize that this is going on and try and get a lot of residents out to the planning board meeting on the 17th.
Yeah, because I think you're 250 from me, right? I must be within the 200, then you're 225, because you're right across the street. And that's what's a shame about it, right? I know that's the minimum, and that's all they wanted to do because they didn't want to publicize, but it impacts our whole neighborhood.
Well, that's the state law. Anything that touches within that 200 feet.
I get it, and if they're doing it to their advantage, so I get
property, they have to notice you.
So I appreciate your time, guys.
Oh, no, thank you for coming.
Good evening. I'm up here as the mayor of Palmetto.
Mayor Slavicek,
I
thank
just
you.
wanted to extend my satisfaction for the recent contract for services for the police department. And I think Mayor Seeley can confirm that something that I did really well was research. And I want to really leave you with a strong message, because I know that you're going into negotiations for a PBA contract. And sometimes we learn the hard way. And I could sit up here and be honest and say that Palmetto learned the hard way. So please, take care of those who take care of us. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. Wow. Very powerful, Chris. Thank you. It duly noted. Thank you.
Good evening. Dan Riley, 55 Red Bank Road.
Hi, Dan.
Please, in another direction. Just coming to see if we have any update and timing frame on the construction of the roads and drainage. And
well, we are still working on the stormwater design right now. We did submit to the USDA a series of documents that they've requested. They've asked us to revise them, so we're in the process of submitting those back to them as well. I know Bruce was talking about submitting to the utility companies this year to see if we could start getting some of the poles and the gas main work started. But at this point, you know, that's really the only kind of update that I have before we submit our final documents to the USDA and complete our design.
we've gone backwards. 6 weeks ago, I was here and Bruce told me that he has reached out to the utility companies and he was scheduling time for them to come out and start doing that relocation.
And
at
he
that
very well may
time,
have. I may not know that information.
And at that time, I had asked for a timeline. Do we, is there a timeline? When we're going to complete the drawings, when we're going to go out to bid, when we're going to award. We don't.
Can you, Dan, what we'll do is we'll have Bruce reach back out to you and give you a further update within 2 days. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, and then we'll stay on top of that so that you have accurate information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out today. Sorry we didn't have more information.
In the meantime, I have talked to John Mayer. We're going to look at the intersections and try to get them at least flat for the time being, so they don't take out your car and everybody else's.
Oh, we'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's a test track down there, you know.
A test track. It's
for the
it's
trucks.
a war zone.
Is there anyone else who would care to come up and comment on anything at all about anything? No?
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye. And we are going into a closed session.
Yep.
Action will
not be taken.
Not be taken.
No action.
Thank you for coming out. You can wait outside till we reopen.
Next meeting is
I'm going to read
21st.
the resolution. How do you feel? Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, DL 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas this public is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Spotswood, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of any action upon the hereinafter subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is contract negotiations update. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public when confidentiality is no longer required. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Make a motion to pass the resolution?
Second.
Put that number.
Everybody second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to close the close, reopen the open?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. God, I got a lot to do
There's no
tomorrow.
other business, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Kim.